right, now that you're done with lunch, we are going to continue. We're going to talk about aggregation. I have already shown you when we were calculating the total for the groups, for the total customers, total. So when we were doing aggregation on table, on group, so you would do insert aggregation. So you can do, like we were adding total customers plus whatever else. It will be row if you're doing table. But if it's just a cell, then it's going to be data row. You can add get year, you can multiply, or like, for example, if you want to add a $sign, there are all these functions that we're going to talk about. Or you can multiply stuff in the expression, like here, when you click on that. Okay, so how do you display the aggregate data? Like for the count, like if you're counting by group, we didn't have to add anything as an expression here. But if we're counting something else, then of course we will. And we can add a filter. So you can add a filter on your aggregation. So you can aggregate on table or a group. You can add a filter. You can have an expression, and you don't have to if you have a count. For average, for some, you would need that. But for count, if you're just counting the number of rows, counting the number of rows in group or a table, then you don't. Okay. Filtering is fun. You can filter on a data level and report level. Remember where there are properties, binding, highlight, sorting, you can add a filter there. Like you can say country equal to Canada, credit limit greater or equal to 90,000. But then you can add filter right here on your data level. So 2 ways to filter. You can also filter on the group level. Remember when we were creating groups? You have here a filter. So now parameters, that's a way user is filtering. So if we have a parameter, we can question, how do we enable the user to filter based on the pics you see below? See here, where, quantity, stock, less than question mark. So that would be our parameter. And product vendor like question mark, that would be our parameter. Remember when we were creating a Pojo data source, we created a parameter and this showed up. We added a default value. So it can be required, hidden. Ours was required, so it showed up when we ran the report. And display type also, different display types. All right, so use parameters and question marks in the query, like I've just said. Question, how do we define a dataset parameter based on the pics you see? What do you think is very important? It's important, like if you mark them required, then you have to have a value that goes with that, right? A link to the report to parameter. That's what we did when we were creating a Pojo data source. Data type must match. Oh, that is one of the greatest one of the greatest reasons why you have errors when the data doesn't match, data type doesn't match. And if it's required, you really have to have it. Otherwise, you can't. It shows up, it's required, and you can run it. Now, when you're building an expression builder, you can use a parameter, and it's going to show up like, you know how we had available columns? Now, if you click on report parameters, it's going to show up as this, and then value. And you can update a filter condition dynamically when the report runs. So it can be here, like if you're adding a filter, Remember here, filter, like quantity stock less than this parameter. There's so much to be done. Okay, now we're going to have another hands-on. Yay! It's going to be exciting. We're going to build a report that contains subreports. So this is all we're going to do. Okay, so what are we going to do? First, let's consider the problem statement. We need to build a report that displays a list of customers. We already have that. For each customer, the report should display order and payment information. So we don't have that. The order information and payment information should be in separate adjacent sub-reports. So we have to have order information and payment information in separate reports. Then the customer report, order support, and payment support. So you have customer report, order support, payment support. They should use data from customers. We already use customers, but we haven't used orders and payments table respectively. So that's another thing that we're going to do. Okay, so this is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn to build a data source and data sets for main report and subreports. You're going to create, you already know how to do that, but you will go into more details. You will create a customer master report. We have not done that yet. You're going to create the order subreports, and this is very important. You're going to link the subreport to the main report. You're going to use one common field like customer number that links to reports. Remember when I was explaining how you join, and I use this customer number to link the reports. The value of the linking field in the master report will determine how data appears in the detail. So you have one master report, and then you have other ones that are linked to that one. For example, if the customer number in the master report is 173, the detailed reports display the order and payment information for the customer whose ID is 173. Make the customer report the master report, which is also called the outer report. So you have outer reports and then inside reports. So customer report, the one that we worked on, is going to be our master. The orders and payments sub-reports, those are detailed reports, and they are also called inner reports. So we are going to use the classic models again, but now we're going to add more. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to build a new report. So we will stay within our project. Right now I'm under user ready. So this is where our report is, the one that we were just building. So we're going to stay within that project and we're going to build a new report. I will call this one Subreport, because that's the main feature that we are learning. Okay. Next, it's going to be blank report, finish. Alright, next thing that we're going to do, we are going to build our data source, and it's going to be classic models. Next. Okay, sometimes things take time. Okay, finish. Now we're doing data set. Remember, new join data set, that's how we're going to join. Alright. This is going to be our customer. This is going to be our main one. So from the classic models, from the customer, we're going to take customer number and customer name. That's it. Finish. Preview the results. Looks good. You don't see all of it because remember the preview I changed to be 10. Doesn't matter, it's okay. Alright. now we are going to build another data set from orders, new data set. And this one, apologize for this. Okay, I have just taken this SQL orders, order number, so order number and order date, and then order number equals question mark. Okay, so like we can do this. Order number and order date from orders, and customer number equals question mark. We can just leave it like that. Okay, finish. You know, okay, the reason why we don't have preview results is because of this parameter, and this parameter has been created. Okay, so that's okay. We're just gonna save it like it is. Okay. Actually, we are gonna fix this parameter. We're gonna edit this and call this. We're gonna call this cast ID. Default value is gonna be 103. 103 is just one of the numbers in the customer number, so it's just so we can test, and we don't need anything to link. So here, this is integer, and that's it. So this is just so we can test. Okay. Okay, now next thing, we're going to create another data set. So new data set. Next. I'm just going to put here the query I need. So this one is from payments. See here. So payments, we need payment date, amount from payments, and the customer number is again question mark. That means we're going to have to do what we did for the previous one to test it. So right now we got nothing, but if we click here and then added the parameter, I'm going to put here 103, and then the name is going to be cast ID. Okay. And then if we test it, it works. So right now we created three data sets, and these ones have parameters. This one doesn't. This is going to be our master. Okay, now that we have done this, we will drag the list into the report. Under binding, we are going to pick dataset 1. That's going to be our master. Alright. So now we've created binding. Okay, so we have integer string here. We are going to drag customer name into the detail. Okay, and then we are going to sort all of this by customer name. Okay, now let's preview the report. So this is what we are getting right now.